think that wraps up that segment. And taking it on to the second one, Tyler, we're gonna go into. I mean, you're wearing a sports athletic like team representing AC Milan. Bluska, he's wearing a sweatshirt over here. Listeners can't see this, but it's of the Raptors. I'm wearing athletic wear for like some. It's. I think this is Italian too, but we're just gonna gloss over that. What we're trying to get to is, yeah, like big sporting events. They're not gonna have. They don't have fans right now, and that kind of has an impact. I feel like on athletes mentally. Obviously, it has financial impacts too. So Tyler, let's talk about it. How do you feel about like no sports in the like no fans in the stands, and how would you feel when things like get clear? Like, would you be comfortable in a setting with so many fans?
Um, well, as a soccer fan, I usually see that like soccer is one of those sports where it's like all about the fans because it's so like watching it on TV, it's so quiet otherwise. So just not to have the fans there is a big deal. Like um, uh, you see even players selfishly commentating on it, saying that it's impacting their game. It's not making them feel as good to walk onto the pitch. Uh, and then the fans, of course, they're complaining about the season ticket holders that were hoping to spend thousands of dollars to sit at every game, and now can't sit at even one. So they're trying to make compromises all over the place, like 30% capacity and stuff, but it's just going downhill again. And I recently heard in the hockey world with the Buffalo Sabres that they just shut down all their games again until the 8th. So it's a big deal.
Yeah, I did
Uh,
not know about
yeah.
that with the Sabres. That's crazy. Alan, were you aware of that?
Me?
How does
I
that
heard
affect the league like and their schedule?
it's a lot of like juggling. You see
Yeah.
how like the NBA has been struggling with teams not being able to play their games, and hockey is doing the same thing. And it's crazy because they don't have fans in there, right? So it's
Hmm.
just like it's a transmission outside. But yeah, Blasco,
Hmm.
what are your thoughts on that? How would you feel about, or let's dig into the mind of athletes, okay? How would you feel if you had to play in an empty field in a high pressure like game where you need to like yeah, like look at Vanier
That's,
Cup. Let's take a Vanier Cup without fans. How would that feel for you?
oh, that'd be dreadful. It's like practice almost, but like you have to bring the intensity of like well, practice is intense anyways, but you got to bring the intensity of this is like a championship game, and it's hard to do that without like the crowds. The crowds really get make you feel like you're part of the Coliseum. It's like imagine talking about the Italians. Imagine Rome without like the people, the plebes in the stands, just like cheering on the gladiators. It's like the same thing. It's really takes away from the experience, takes away from what you work for, really, because that's without fans, there is no real sport per se because they're part of the team. They're part of the team and they're part of the culture. And without that, it will definitely put things in the world. But apparently, for some players, it does the opposite. They come out and they play better than they've ever had, and you see that in the bubble with guys that were in NBA that never played really the greatest, but like nowadays that they were in that environment, they were just able to just hoop. So I think it definitely has an effect on people mentally, but it just depends on who, on how that's going to manifest, whether it's like detrimental to their performance or something that boosts them up. Yeah, that was a rant. Sorry.
Yeah, so Tyler, what do you think?
Yeah, going on with what Blasco was saying, I feel like it definitely impacts like the mental health of players, like those who um, basically rely on the fans uh, to really hype them up during a game. Perhaps those that aren't on a good run and need some inspiration from people who still love them that aren't at the game simply anymore. Like that's a big deal, and like thinking about it after the game as well, nobody can really relate to you as an athlete because they weren't there at the game. they can't talk as strongly anymore about the game. Only the officials and management staff can. Only the people that are paying you can. Only the board. Only the serious people, which I doubt players always like talking to. So it's sad times.
Just little shout out to hardcore fans over there all over the world.
Well, I got like let's look at it in this way. For you, Tyler, and I'll ask you, how do you make fan engagement better without fans in the stands? You know, like it's a hard thing to do. Like you could have virtual seating like the NBA did, and you can obviously find games. I don't know if there's online communities for people to stream games together, but how would you, if you were in the seat of a team or in the league? I'm asking you, I guess, because I'm taking a degree in like marketing and just swiping ideas from you. How would you gain more fan engagement that they're missing by not being physically present?
So like the seat of a team as in being a player, essentially, or just
No, I mean, like, say you're a part of an organization and you just want fans to have a better sports experience. How would you make them more engaged? Because they can't go to a game, right? And like, I mean, you can interact virtually, but is there another way? Let's see if you can come up with an idea.
I feel like well, with the Raptors, of course, let's make them an example. When it was their first championship, they really wanted fans to see that, right? How well they had done, and fortunately for us, at the end, they ended up winning the whole thing. They really wanted everyone to see that, so they would have screens all over the place, prices to see those screens, of course not live, but to watch the game otherwise cheap. I think that's sort of the thing I would want to do, like really expose ourselves to the media out there, get a lot more media coverage than average, to make fans feel a lot more immersed in the game and sort of escape from the reality that they can't.
Alan, that's a really hard question because there are some people that are literally getting paid millions of dollars to try to find and answer that question. And the best thing they could have is like the NBA virtual fans and NFL trying their best to spread people out or whatever that's going on with that league. But like, yeah, it's definitely you kind of push them to the edge.
I'm sorry, Tyler. I'm sorry. They asked me that.
It's a respectable question. Yeah, I know. I'm the guest, so I expect
Tyler,
it.
I'm sorry, man. Okay,
I
all right.
expect it.
Man, all right. Well,
how about this though? How about this? Like, you know, you have movie drive-ins. Like you go like the Mustang drive-in, and maybe everybody goes in and watches the game in their cars together but apart.
That's iffy though, because I've seen those attempts that I'm just like, that's what their concept of apart isn't too apart, and like the trunks are still open and people are venturing, getting impatient and pacing around while watching the movies. I'm like, you ought to just sit in the theater again, guys. Like, this isn't really working out. But they're trying. Like, I've seen creative ways, like having lockers for fans to store their stuff, and everything becoming ticketless now. Like, you have to do it all online and beforehand. I find that kind of cool. And even when COVID is all over, like, I find that would be kind of convenient to still carry on with, as opposed to there always being a line, like just sort of walk in. That'd kill a lot of time for otherwise impatient fans just waiting to see their favorite team play.
Yeah. I think that one last thing that we're gonna have to discuss though, Tyler, is the Super Bowl is coming up, and that's a thing for any sports fan, even the non-sports fan, and people will be spectating that. Obviously, I think some people are accepted to go watch the game in person, but I think they're only for like staff. But we gotta ask, who you got? If you've been following, if not, who you got?
I gotta go Chiefs. And Mahomes.
Hey, my homeboys, dig it. You're You're on your own there.
Listen. They're not my team. Like I'm a Giants fan, as shameful as that is to admit right now. Yeah, yeah. But so yeah, it's unfortunate that my team couldn't even make the playoffs. But of the two teams, like I still gotta pay my respect, and I like Mahomes. I like the Rising Stars, so I'm gonna back them up, even though they won last year. So.
Okay.